Massive buffet going on here. So this is the Mount of Arafat behind me. The mountain is just there. There's actually people.
के सामने जो है, if you look straight, अगर आप सामने देखें वो जमरात हैं.
So the Prophet.
That's the message where the big khutbah takes place. When you see them on TV, the main khutbah takes place there from the Masjid Namira. So that's on the border of Arafat. Half of the masjid is in Arafat, half of
Just morning prayers today in the Masjid al-Haram, and a lot of building work going on here. A huge amount of building work. There's that Abraj al-Bayt, the clock tower complex, the old minars, and you've got hotel after hotel. And you got that going on there. Then you got this massive minaret being built. Then you got minarets over there being built. Got these more minarets. So there's a lot going on here. There's loads and loads and loads of work going on here, and that's the clock tower there. Good morning from the Hilton Hotel. Just gonna head down to breakfast and start the day. Starting with breakfast very simply. A massive buffet going on here, so Tabarakallah. So a decent breakfast here at the Hilton Hotel. Usually costs about 79 Riyal per person. 5-star hotel. Very, very good breakfast. Highly recommended. And yeah, it's a nice way to start off the day after doing tawaf and a very filling breakfast. Just heading into the area of Arafat. It's not Hajj season here, but it's still very, very busy. A lot of people around, a lot of buses. Yes, we're going to head over to the plain of Arafat this morning. First stop, and have a look. See this very, very famous site. And it's early morning yet. It's only about, 8 a.m. It's going to get hotter. And going to have a look at the plain of Arafat, the mount which is there, Jabal al-Rahma, the Mount of Mercy. And yeah, stick with us. So this is the Mount of Arafat behind me. The mountain is just there. There's actually people there. It's really busy, even though we're not in the period of Hajj. So we're going to go up. So this is the Mount of Arafat. As you can see, there's a huge swarm of people here. Even though it isn't the Hajj season, a lot of people here. As you can see, the mountain is just there. It takes about 20 minutes to get to that top of the mountain over there. And this is the plain. There's still other. Right, so this is the plain of Arafat. That's the little mountain, and the little thing on the top is apparently where the Prophet Adam and his wife Hawa, alayhim salam, first met when they descended down from earth and then came back and met again. They reached this point, and that is where they re-met. This is an area which is the most important pillar of Hajj on the 9th of Dhul Hijjah. People come and gather here, ask for repentance from sunrise to sunset, from zawal to sunset. They sit here, they remember God, they do forgiveness, and it is the most important ritual of the Hajj. Without this, the Hajj is incomplete. All others, Muzdalifah, Mina, and others, can be, given penalties. You can give penalties, you can do substitutes, but you cannot do this act. If you don't do this act, you will lose the Hajj. And the history is that the Hajj rituals were installed by Ibrahim and Ismail. It's in a remembrance, and they were there before the time of the Prophet. These rituals were there, but when the Quraysh, who used to think they were the owners of the Kaaba and God's, almost chosen people, they would come to Muzdalifah and stay there, but they would not go to Arafat and meet the other Arabs that would be gathered there also as part of the ritual. So the Prophet broke this high sort of complex which the Quraysh had and said that no, everybody should gather at Arafat also. And for that reason, the Prophet made it a essential pillar, Arafat, and after this the pilgrims then move on to Muzdalifah. And it is the most significant place. It has a powerful Arafat itself means to know, right? And we could interpret that as knowledge, we could interpret that as cognition, we could interpret that as gnosis, we could interpret that as ma'rifah. And it is a place of coming to know yourself, coming before God. It is a plane of, we would say in the day of judgment, human beings would find themselves on a plane, and they will find themselves, it reminds them of being present before God. So it has that eschatological, i.e. that end of times sort of meaning to it also, where human beings would find themselves on the end of times, on the last day, in the judgment of God, in the court of God, before God. And braving the sun, the peak of the sun in the summer season during the Hajj period is not easy, because the pilgrims already for 5 days have been wearing ihram. They're wearing for 4 days or 5 days. They wear the ihram for 5 days, and they cannot come out of that state. And on the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, they find themselves on this plain of Arafat. All right, we're walking towards the Jabal, which is known as Jabal al-Rahmah, the Mount of Mercy. And just have a look at it. It's a nice small mountain. You can climb right to the top, but I'm not going to go to the top. Although there's a lot of peaks around here. We've got Jabal al-Thawr, which I passed earlier, didn't stop there, which is where the Prophet, when leaving, doing the hijrah from Mecca to Medina, it was very difficult for him to leave the city of Mecca, his favorite city, his hometown, where he was born, where the original message came. For 10 years he had preached. Anyhow, he left, and for 3 days and 3 nights he stayed in the cave with Abu Bakr, and that is Jabal al-Thawr, where that cave is. And this is the Mount of Mercy. So we'll probably be moving on to the Jabal of Nur, which is very important because it's the very first place where revelation came to the Prophet. And that's the cave. Like everywhere where people like to leave their marks, got a load of markings here. I don't know whether if anyone's ever looked at some of the markings. Some of them might be very old, but not all of them. Right, just on the Jabal al-Nur, Rahmah, the Mount of Mercy. Gonna move on from here now. Gonna move on, and we're gonna have a look at another site. So stay tuned. So it is a place of seeking forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if Arafat is accepted, consider your Hajj accepted. It is the place where the Prophet gave his final sermon, Hajjatul Wida, in front of the companions when he performed his final pilgrimage. He came and gave his final sermon on this particular area. And he delivered the sermon where he spoke about the fact the religion of Islam, there is no worth of an Arab over a non-Arab, or a black over a white over a black. And this message of his was super significant because this final khutbah encapsulated his mission of 23 years. It encapsulated all that he stood for, all the values, and how he wanted to reorient the tribalistic, racist, patriarchal society of the Jahiliyyah. And it really is a place of reflection for the whole Ummah to consider where it stands in relation to all the things the Prophet had fought against and struggled against, inevitably to be victorious, but for human beings to continuously take the lessons that he gave and apply them in their daily lives.
That's the masjid where the big khutbah takes place. When you see them on TV, the main khutbah takes place there. From there, Masjid Namira. So that's on the border of Arafat. Half of the masjid is in Arafat, half of it is out of Arafat. So the army was coming to Abraham, the army was coming to destroy the Kaaba. Allah SWT sent a small whale with the pebbles, and they destroyed the Ababil, they destroyed the army. It was on the right side. Finally, sir, if we get a good location, zoom in, take some pictures. So Allah SWT, He mentioned this in the Quran. إني أرى في المنام أني أذبحك فانظر ماذا ترى. Oh Ismail, I see that I'm sacrificing in a dream. Oh my father, do what Allah has ordered you to do. ستجدني إن شاء الله من الصابرين. You will find me to be very patient. के सामने जो है, if you look straight, अगर आप सामने देखें वो जमरात है. the Hujjaj they come, seven pebbles. On the second day, all three pebbles, 777. And on the third day, 7. They have to come the pelting of the shaitan. You have to pelt the shaitan. Total 40 buildings. These are some hotels in Mina for the VIP people staying in the hotels. The rest everyone stays in the tents. In Hajj time.
So we're at the spot where the revelation first came to the Prophet. We are at Jabal An-Nur, the mountain of light, and on top of the mountain, just behind me over there, is the cave of Hira. And in that particular cave, where the Prophet used to favor areas of higher altitude, away from the mercurial, transactional, busy trading area of Mecca. He used to go up to the mountain all the time, contemplate, reflect. He had a reflective personality, and he would contemplate. He'd go up on the roof, and so this is the very place where the Prophet was given the initial verses of the Quran, the first verses of Al-Alaq. And Jibreel came to him. He said, I cannot recite. When he said, finally on the third occasion, he recited Jibreel, and the Prophet rushed down. He went to Khadija, who gave him some wise words, and then took him to a cousin to Waraqah, who explained, and Waraqah confirmed, this is the very Jibreel that came to Moses and other prophets. And this is Ghar Hira. But the Prophet never came back here, because when he went into society for the mission he had been given, he never went back to the cave of Hira, for he went from the mountain to the bazaar, and he changed society forever. And here Khadija's wise words, wise counsel and everything is instrumental in the early days of Islam. And but as we know, the Prophet himself, in terms of his existential sort of spiritual prophethood, it is well before this particular point of revelation. كان النبي وآدم بين الماء والطين. I was a prophet, or actually the proper one is وكان النبي وآدم بين الروح والجسد, which is the accurate one, because teen itself is a mixture of water and mud anyway. So these are all the mountains. The Prophet loved mountains. He loved being in peaks. He loved being amongst in high altitude, solitude and contemplation. But when he was given the mission, he left Mecca. He knew he would be oppressed. He asked Waraqah. He knew he would be driven out. He would need to leave his home, his friends, his family, his Shi'b Abu Talib, where they were left. And but he had supporters in Abu Talib. He had supporters in Khadija, whose influence on early Islam and her role is significant. The most loved, the most noble of the wives of the Prophet. And then he went to Medina, of course, and established this great city, which then became the blueprint for the civilization of Islam.
Okay, look to the right side here.
The complex is around the mosque, which is the Grand Mosque, the Masjid al-Haram. And you have the Abraj al Bayt complex, which was originally located, or which is known as the Clock Tower, which is located where the ancient fort was on a hill, which was demolished in 2002. We've got more hotels there. We've got the Hilton over there, which was originally in the location of where the house of Abu Bakr was. We've got toilets over there where originally the house of Khadija was. And there you have a 7-story, over 600-meter tall Big Ben on steroids tower with 7 hotels and underneath 5-story shopping mall. If you feel there's not enough going on here in the holy sanctuary, you can go there and shop in style. See, the pilgrims are still coming in, and all of those buildings are really irrelevant to what stands on this side. The Holy Mosque, and this area used to actually be surrounded by mountains, natural landscape, hills, and they've obviously no match to dynamite. That's the new extension of Masjid al-Haram, extending all the way there. Although it doesn't have a view of the Kaaba. Ideally, you should build in a way where the Kaaba, I mean, I'm no urban planner, but the Kaaba is the centralmost theme of this whole area. Low-rise buildings with tight alleys was what originally was found here. Obviously, it's been replaced by like concrete slabs in an interesting sort of way. But nevertheless, the clock tower itself has a museum, I think it does. It has some sort of museum or something at the top. A very unique clock face, over 600 meters tall, projects lights, and luxury hotels and things are found, made of gold and other things. That's the clock tower there. And we're going to just head in now and pray. Just now on the second floor, getting ready for the Asr prayer. The Kaaba is right behind us, just over there. And big crowds, as usual. So we're going to get ready for the prayer and hopefully try and pray near the Kaaba. But it's Masjid al-Haram nowadays is quite a confusing place because there's so much work going on. So I have the Kaaba behind me. We're on the second floor doing the tawaf after prayer. This Kaaba, it's a multifaceted phenomenon. It's considered as the place where it's the axis mundi for Muslims, the center of the earth. And the magnetic field of this, it's not just spiritual, but they say even physically that there's a magnetic field or sort of phenomenon related to the Kaaba. The idea of Dahwul Ard also, that the earth first spread, it was all water everywhere, and land first spread from this particular area just under the Kaaba. The land first appeared and it spread across, and we have the first spread of earth and land coming from this very location, the Kaaba. And it does reflect other places like, as I say, going back to Al-Quds, that is also considered the axis mundi, the center of the world. And other faiths also have places which they consider sacrosanct, sacred, and have a sort of spiritual compass is directed. And this is like a compass, the spiritual, the external qibla of the Muslims, but also it's there to direct the internal compass of the heart. So this black cloth we see on the Kaaba, which is specially sewn every year for the Hajj and changed during the time. Originally, this Kaaba used to be multicolored, red, white, and others. The black color came in during the Abbasids, and it's remained. They used it as their most prominent color of their dynasty, and it was originally multicolored rather than being black. The Kaaba also would regularly flood this area, being part in the middle of a valley. And right now we have hotels, but all those hotels where you see were originally mountains. So water would gather here, and in the water, people would the whole area would become flooded, and tawaf walking would become impossible, and therefore they'd almost have to swim around the Kaaba to do the tawaf. This is the older part of the Masjid al-Haram. The expansion is going on the side, but this is the older part of Masjid al-Haram, and similar to Masjid al-Nabawi. But the space is running out. There's a huge amount of people, and space is continuously at a premium. And this is just Umrah time. During Hajj, this place would be really, really, really busy. Indeed, by the token of time, man is at loss, except those that do good deeds and enjoin to good acts. So just heading up to the upper section, there you have the minaret, and so this is the fifth floor. This is the roof of the Masjid al-Haram, the area of Malik Fahd, and it's got a nice atmosphere up here. So whenever you come, you can do your tawafs. The Prophet regularly did the tawafs here. He performed Umrah 4 times in his life. In one of those, he was given the thawab of Umrah because he was prevented from actually doing the Umrah. So yeah, coming here, doing the tawafs. They only let into the area where the Kaaba, around the Kaaba, into that portion, they only let people who have ihram on. So if you're not muhrim, but that's one particular way to get in if you have an ihram on. But otherwise, you have to then go on to the other sections. I think it's the 4th floor or the 3rd floor. Many of the other floors are locked, they're closed, but the roof is still open. So you can come to the roof, a nice atmosphere, it's open. You've got the minarets, and you can pray. And it's much more peaceful here on the roof compared to down, because everyone's doing tawaf. Very hectic. You'll get pulled in by the crowd, but here it's quiet, it's calm, it's peaceful, and it has a nice atmosphere. And you get the open sky, the Meccan sky. It's just gone past the Maghrib time, and it's quite nice over here. Feels like we're in Pakistan here. Some real desi food. If you're in Makkah, just make sure you walk further down the street. Don't stick around where all Jabal Umar and the Hilton and the Clock Tower and the Ajad and all those towers are, because you'll charge double or triple the prices. You want to walk much further down and come over here, and you got over there, you got lovely sugarcane juice, 5 riyals, can't go wrong. And around over here, just when you go further down from that tower, you come to shops which are much better in terms of value for money, because you might be getting the same things as little gifts, clothing items and things. And here comes my drink.